Hello everybody, here I am in my office, and in our last class we were talking about hobbies. So I've come to collect my die from the office. Yes, I use the word die because that's the correct singular word for this. But very often you will hear us use the word dice. Excuse me. So I know that dice means more than one, but when we're speaking in English conversation, we very often use the word dice. So we'll say, let's roll the dice. So let's do just that, roll the dice. What does it tell us? The question is, what holiday do you enjoy most? For me, well, I think the holiday I enjoy most is when I'm able to go to visit Spain. Now we're in lockdown and we're not able to go and visit other countries, and some of us aren't able to even come out of our houses. So for now, my best holiday would be, yes, in my garden. Let's roll the dice. And what question do we have now? This is an important question we can use for our hobbies. What do you like to do in warm weather? And if I looked over at the other side, I would find another question when I roll the dice, and it might ask me, what do you like to do in cold weather? So sometimes, just as a game, if you're practicing English, get hold of your die, or dice if you like to call it that, and roll it between you and ask your friend the question that is on the side when the dice lands. Now, I'm going to pop over to the classroom for anybody who missed last week's class when we talked about hobbies. See you in a moment. All about talking about our hobbies, and you might hear this referred to as free time. Now, I don't use the phrase free time because I don't consider I have any free time, because I'm a mother, a wife, a teacher, I work in my home, I do the gardening, so I like to use the word hobbies. And if you're practicing English speaking and listening, then there are a number of things you need to think about for your conversation. Firstly, how do you start a conversation? And can you really start a conversation using hobbies? Well, I think you'd need to know the person to do that. What about being part of a conversation? Yes, it's quite good if you talk about something that you did recently. That's a hobby. And talking about something you know? Yes, I love this one because it's so much easier to talk about something you know. So if you have a hobby, let's hear about it. Express an opinion. That's good because you can give an opinion about somebody else's hobby, and it's really important to share. What do you like? What do you not like? And what about developing a conversation? For those of you who are already at entry level 3 and moving forward, developing a conversation is a very important skill that you need to be thinking about for speaking and listening. But for this class, we're going to think about hobbies and how we talk about hobbies. So the grammar point is making sure that you learn how to use the verb like with ing. I like singing. I like shopping. I like. So when you're looking at your verb, you add ing to the verb. If it's directly after the word like, only if you mean enjoy. And that's something to learn. So that's a good practice. If you take the verb and you put the word like in front of it, like saying I enjoy, and make sure that you're using ing. I enjoy cooking, I like cooking. I enjoy walking, I like walking. And then there are vocabulary phrases that some English people use, not all people. What about hanging out with? I'm hanging out with my friends. It just means I'm here with my friends. What about relaxing with? I'm relaxing with my daughter. If you understand the word relax and what relax means, then you're just using with to indicate the person or people who are with you. Being with. Wow, we wouldn't really use that phrase, but if you did use it, you would say, I have been with. I don't think I would say being with. I wouldn't put those two together, but if you do hear somebody using that phrase, they're just talking about the moment in time when they are with somebody else. So synonym, this means words that are similar or the same as the word that you're using. And when you're working at entry level 3 and entry level 2 possibly, and definitely level 1 and level 2, you need to be thinking about your vocabulary. So what words could you use instead of like? Enjoy? Love? Yes, we do use the word love when we really mean I really, really like. Yes, so I might say, oh, I love chocolate. I don't mean that I love it with feeling in the same way I might have feeling for my children or my husband, but we mean like. Confusing? Sometimes. What about adore? I would only use this word if I was talking about people. And then there's don't like. So these are antonyms to like, the opposite. So antonym means opposite. We might say dislike. It means the same thing. We might say hate. That's a really, really bigger version of don't like. But we shouldn't be using this word about people. We should be using this word about things that we don't like to eat or that we don't like to do. And I try very hard to avoid this word altogether because it can confuse other people and it can make people think and judge you in different ways. So I avoid hate, I talk about dislike. Detest, yes, I would use that word. Definitely a better word than hate. I really detest lemon. I don't, but I was just giving you an example. So if you start a conversation, if you don't know somebody, can you start by talking about your free time? Hi, I've just been working for the last couple of weeks, so I've had some free time and I'm knitting. No, because you remember in your conversation, when you're speaking English to somebody that you don't know, you will be really using phrases like how are you, you want to get to know them. And so talking about your hobbies or free time isn't something I would do if I didn't know somebody. What about starting a conversation if you know somebody? Well, yes, you could ask, what did you do this morning? What did you do yesterday? What did you do last week? And that's talking also about your free time. Have you heard the phrase, what have you been up to today? Now, sometimes as mothers, we ask this question of our children without the time word of today. So we say, what have you been up to? And can you hear the questioning in the sound of the way that we say it? It's very different to saying, hi, what have you been up to today? Sometimes you might hear the question, have you been busy? That's just like saying, what have you been doing? What have you been doing? How's it going? Yes, sometimes people do ask this, don't they? They mean the same thing. How are you? What have you been doing? So let's put all that together. If you don't know me and you meet me. Hi, my name is Jane. What have you been doing today? Ooh, I like reading too. What book are you reading? So if I don't know you and you tell me what you've been doing, and let's say you are reading and it's something I like doing, I can say, I like reading too. And I'd like to move the conversation on, so I ask you, what book are you reading? So what about if you know me? Hi, it's great to see you. What are you doing today? Oh, me too. I like horse riding. I don't like the big horses, but I'm riding one of the smaller horses today. What about you? So if I met somebody who liked horse riding and I could say, oh, I like horse riding. I don't like and I do like. So when I'm talking to somebody I know, I might change the way in which I put those sentences together. So practice the difference between how you might speak to somebody you know and how you might speak to somebody you don't know. So what to talk about? Oh, I'm sure you have lots of things to talk about. Anything you like to do and anything you don't like to do. So practice the vocabulary, and I'm sure that you know the words on here, but you're thinking about looking at those words and asking yourself, what do I like? What do I not like? And what information can I give somebody about the things that I do? So in my free time, my hobbies are, I might say, in my free time, I write poetry. I like writing poetry. My hobby is writing poetry. My hobbies are writing poetry and reading. Any of those sentences that you say are correct, so you can just choose. I would say, I like writing poetry and reading. So in my free time, my hobbies are, I would say, my hobbies are writing poetry and reading. I don't enjoy cooking. But I could use any of these sentences together. So think about, in your practice, how are you going to add sentences together that you've learned in your English classes and by listening to other people talking. So over to you. And at the very least, what you need to be thinking about is how you put together a list of things that you like and you don't like, because from that list will come your conversation. And thank you very much to everybody last week who sent me photographs of their lists of likes and don't like. And if you weren't in the class last week, that's a quick revision, and we're going to go this week to looking in a little bit more detail about how we continue our conversations. See you later. Bye now.